welcome to each and every one of you. Good afternoon. Welcome to Thought-Provoking Conversations with SYT Academy, where we will be having, yes, you guessed it, Thought-Provoking Conversations. My name is Lihle Shongwe. I am not alone. I am with three panelists who will be giving us insights and sharing their experiences on today's topic, which is co-parenting. Okay, so I'm just going to ask our panelists to please switch on their videos, and then we can start having the discussion. Hey, Sharon. Hey, Tumelo. Hey, Shangiwe. How you guys doing? Yo, Gosiam, you look so nervous. You look so nervous.
We good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. Okay, I'm gonna ask you guys to please just introduce yourselves to everyone that's watching right now. I'm gonna start with Dumelo because you are the only guy. So we'll gentlemen first. All right, so we'll ask you to introduce yourself. Yeah, and tell us you have a daughter, a son, how old are they, so on and so forth. Okay.
All right, cool. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dumelo Dennis Mabileta. I'm a father of a 6-year-old girl. She just turned 7. I think she just turned 7. Yeah, she just turned 7.
Yeah, no, after six comes 7, Dumelo.
Yes.
That's how it works.
Yeah, no, she just 7 actually. This past
Yeah.
September right now.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's me.
Okay, Sharon, I'm gonna ask you to go next.
Hi, my name is Sharon. I am a mom to a 9-year-old boy. I'm an entrepreneur, and yeah, most importantly, I'm 30 years old.
Nice to meet you, Sharon. To meet
Nice.
you. Shangiwe.
Good afternoon, guys. I'm Hlengiwe Kuzwayo. I'm a mom of two. I have a 17-year-old and 11. The boy is 17. The girl is 11. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you guys for joining us. Just a disclaimer, this is a discussion, okay? So if you guys have questions for each other, please just hoy them in there. Especially since we have one guy. To be honest with you, it is so difficult to get men on this platform. They just don't want to talk. Okay. So Dumelo, be grateful that you're here. Very grateful that you're here. So maybe let's start off with you telling us how long you've been co-parenting and what dynamics have you been navigating through this co-parenting. I don't even know what to call it, right? But
Yeah.
this co-parenting thing that we now have to deal with. Dumela, I'm going to start with you.
Okay. So I've been co-parenting ever since my daughter was born.
Oh,
And
shoot.
yeah. Like I think
Yeah.
the month we both decided to go our separate ways. Prior to the child being born, or my daughter being born. And it's been hasn't been the smoothest ride, and and not really because of difficulty in us being able to co-parent, but mostly it had stemmed from other auxiliary issues that had nothing to do with the actual parenting. I think those issues sort of like pour into the smoothness of the co-parenting, maybe because egos and other frustrations that into play. So that's been the challenge, but I think the saving grace is that the mother of my daughter and I were friends prior to us getting into a relationship. So I think we back to that point eventually for the sake of understanding that us being able to basically like just live in unison, like for the sake of our daughter, is gonna aid her in the long, just to avoid like any unnecessary fighting and stuff like that. Keeping it in mind at all times that the main priority is our daughter. Always been easy though, like because like I mentioned, our egos I think have been the biggest problem. more than anything.
Yeah.
Problem. Yeah. And also maybe like I would say family dynamics,
Right.
different worldviews and belief
Yeah.
systems, and trying to figure whose belief system is better than the others, whereas
Right. Yeah.
things like that should, I don't know, how do you find a middle ground, especially when you're co-parenting, when it comes to things like that. I don't think we've figured it out yet, especially on the part of whose worldview is best that we
Right.
started on child, but like that in itself as well, like I don't know, not something that we've sat down about and said, I think, but I can, one of those lingering things in the back where you can see when you think about it that like, okay, the reason why we're repelling right now is because of our worldviews, not necessarily there's actually a problem,
Right.
and
Yeah.
the egos, I guess, yeah.
Okay, thank you for that, Dumelo. Sharon, your turn. How long have you been parenting, and how have you been navigating through those dynamics of co-parenting?
Wow. So it's been 9 years, and I think I left when my son was only 3 months old, which was quite a difficult decision to make because maybe the family or community expects you to make it work. Once the child is involved, you have to stick it out. But at that point, I couldn't. And the reason why I feel it didn't work was people should plan for babies. Babies need a whole plan. We always say that we fear marriage, but we actually should fear having kids. Because that's literally going to change who you are as a person and the dynamic of the relationship. So one will have expectations of what my partner should be as a dad, and he's got expectations of what I should be as a mother. Those, if they clash, it's game over. And if you get the co-parenting now, you are finding yourself as a mother, and you are finding what works for your child, but you don't want to force down your opinions, your thoughts, your worldview, like Dumelo said, onto the next person. So with me, one of the challenges in my co-parenting was the fact that he is in the Eastern Cape. We both met in Cape Town. He went back to Eastern Cape. I went back to Johannesburg. So the distance also doesn't help when emotions are high and you're still mad at the fact that this relationship didn't work, So it took us exactly 8 years for us to get to a point where we are in sync.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. It took 8 years, and I won't just say it was growth on his part, but it was also growth on my part. I was only 20 when I had the baby, and now I look back, I'm like, oh, he wasn't the only one.
I love that.
Yeah, I was like, no, I wouldn't have put up with 21-year-old if I was him, type of situation, taking accountability for my part and not only just what he did wrong.
I love it. Taking accountability. I love that. Tlengiwe, how have you been navigating, and how long has it been?
It has been really difficult. For me, it has been about 5 years now. I was married. So I think no one ever gets married to divorce, so sometimes things happen along the way, and you find yourself in a situation where now you have to deal with whatever that's happening. So for me, it hasn't been easy. I'm still trying to navigate, because as Dumelo said, egos will come, everything. So I'm just still trying to, navigate it. I haven't figured it out yet, but hopefully gradually I will get there.
Okay. All right. I think that's okay. I think it really takes a bit of some time, hey? I've been co-parenting for 8.5 years. My son is 9 now, so his father and I, we went our separate ways when he was 6 months, right? And
Is it me or at least it just froze? She froze.
Yeah, I think it's network or something.
Yeah.
I think it's
She looks like she's thinking about something.
Yeah. Let's just wait for her to come back to the conversation. But Dumela, I'd like to know, just out of curiosity, until Ulise comes back, what made you come onto this platform? Because a lot of guys would not have been here.
I think so. Firstly, it's a favor to a friend, I guess. And also, I just feel like, like it encourages conversation, just generally, I think we shouldn't be afraid, of speaking. I think most problems come from us not speaking and thinking for you have it all figured out, or being afraid to just like be exposed or whatever. But sometimes you think like, you've got the worst shortcomings, you're terrible, you're this and this and that. But you might actually find that getting on a platform such as this one, it could help me at the end of the day, like maybe change my perceptions on certain things, and not just be a spectator, but be a part of it, because I think hyper masculinity, sometimes gets the better of us as guys, where we think that yeah, no, ngeke ngitshelwe, I'll figure this out. Yeah. But like sometimes we really just need like a second. I'm not saying for we should not take our own thoughts and opinions into consideration, but like just sharing views and points, and just hearing how other people are actually navigating the same issues or realities that I'm facing as well, Yeah, but
Nice.
mainly call it a favor to a friend.
Nice. Nice. Thank you.
And
Sorry,
you guys,
sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. My iPhone needed to cool off. The phone needed to cool off. Sorry, where are we in the conversation?
No, basically, I was just asking Tumelo why he agreed to be here. That's all.
Okay. Oh, okay. And he has answered already, right?
Yes, you can continue.
Okay, sure. So, yeah, I've been co-parenting for 8.5 years, right? And in the beginning, I think it was rather easy for me on my part. I don't think it was easy for my son's father, because I think he wanted us to get back together, and I was not willing to do that again, right? And so, in the first bits, we had such a good understanding, right? Like such a good understanding. Like I knew how to do my bit, and he also knew how to do his bit. So we almost like met each other along the way, right? Like halfway rather. We didn't have any issues, but as the child grew older, then some issues came along, and I was just like, yo, Nkosi Yami, I don't want to do this, so difficult. And again, the egos, emotions are high, and sometimes you think that you're actually fighting for the child, but you're actually fighting for your ego rather than the child sometimes. And yeah, and so it hasn't been an easy ride, but I think he and I have managed to make it work, eh? I think we've managed to make it work. I think regardless of what happened between him and I think he's an excellent father, right? That I'll never take away from him, regardless of how he and I we lock heads here and there, but he's an excellent father. So with that being said, guys, this is what I want to ask, right? This is the next question that I want to ask. Like, so now you have a child with this person, ne? And this is not like any other ex now. This is an ex that you are going to have in your life forever, right? So when you got to that point where you guys broke up or the relationship didn't work out, it ended, and you realize that, okay, we have a child together. I'm going to have to see this person, whether I like it or I don't. How did you all navigate through that whole that this is not just an ex where I say, okay, goodbye, we'll see each other when we bump into each other, but it's like you have to see each other as regular as possible. Okay, Klingy, I'm going to start with you.
okay. For me, I don't think that part was difficult, because
Yeah.
when we when we broke up, I think mentally and emotionally I had already left. So it wasn't really difficult, you know. Even now, I don't really have a problem with anyone. As you said, Lee, my daddy also he's amazing. When it comes to his children, he will go up and beyond for them. So
Yes.
for me, that wasn't an issue because already emotionally I was not in the relationship, and I think I
Okay.
had prepared myself to, you know, cooperate with him and, you know, move forward like that.
Okay. Okay, sure.
Alrighty. Seeing that with me, there was distance obviously between the provinces. So it kind of gave us time to cool off. And one thing that I admire from other people that I've heard talk about co-parenting is having a mediator, right?
Right. Okay. Okay. Oh,
In
that's a
our
fresh
case,
perspective.
yeah, we had my mom who was mediating
Okay.
between the two of us, and she was very neutral.
Okay.
And I think that helped both of us kind of take a step back and heal in whatever way we needed to heal, so that when we do come in contact with each other, you know, it's from a place of positive energy more than fighting about a relationship that ended.
Oh, I
So
like that.
yeah, we're in a good space now.
In a good space now. So you don't mind seeing him, like after seeing him after a long time, right? So I mean, he's gonna come and fetch the baby, or you have to go and drop him off. Like the first time that happened after the cooling off period, how did you feel? Were you like, hey, I'm okay now, are you okay? How
Yeah,
did it go?
I think it's what Sengiwe said. You know, when you've left a person mentally and
Okay.
emotionally, when you do
Right.
see them, you just see another person, like a random person, like a stranger.
Okay.
Hi, stranger,
Okay.
we just had a child. Here's your child. I hope you're good. But
Yeah.
you know, one thing that I've realized is that once you've loved someone, hatred
Yeah.
cannot be there. So
Ooh,
when you are
okay.
now co-parenting, is in as much as you're going to be friends, you will care about each other in a sense that I hope,
Right.
well,
Right.
here's your child and here's an update about
Yes.
your child.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Dumel, how about you? I mean, you guys are friends now. It's great. So how was the breakup? And then you're like, oh my goodness, I have to see this person as much as I have to see the child.
I think like family support really goes a long way, you know. And
Right.
her side of the family was quite supportive, right? And they sort of made that journey easier. Don't wanna lie, I don't think I've ever felt like I am a mistake in their life, you know, where like maybe coming figure or like, you know, I'm sure Bank from time to time, you know, there's not perfect and cognizant of and I'm sure, which can rub them away. But for the most part, I think when it comes to my presence in my daughter's life, I think they appreciate that more. And they sort of like, especially, and that's why I'm very appreciative of the support that her parents have actually played in the journey, because they've made it easier, you know, just to navigate through. And then whenever there's frustrations, I think between me and the mother, the grandparents would step in and basically like be the mediators, like what Sharon also experienced, where they would be the ones who are like, okay, you know what, now we can see you guys are not, you know, now I'll converse with you when it comes to things concerning your daughter. And that has sort of like, I think the only problem with that is that there is a sense of entitlement, right, when it comes to grandparents and being involved in that manner, where they now feel some decision making lies on them, right?
Okay.
And I think because we that engagement is switched on and off from time to time, they also switch on and off when it comes to certain decision making, where no one is willing to make a decision. And because we're at odds, me and the mother, and they also would be like relinquishing any kind of involvement in decision making of what needs to happen with the daughter, you know. But like for the most part, over and above it all, the support from the parents truly, truly, truly has been the best thing in terms of just raising our daughter. And when I say friends, I'm just saying sort of like we cordial, you know, because we were friends, right?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be like calling her up and saying, "Hey, I need advice about 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3." Nah, we just good like in terms of just salary isn't you know. I think, but in the is move, you know, slowly into I know I can be a bit loose groove sometimes in the mind. Yeah.
Okay. You know, when you guys say we are in good terms, I want us to unpack that. Like, what's the relationship like? Do you all speak once a month? Do you speak when the child is involved? Like, how often do you speak? And how would you describe your relationship with your co-parent, basically? Anyone can take that. Because I know, let me just give you a bit of some context, right? Because I know sometimes we say, yeah, no, we cordial, we okay, because, you know, we want to come across a certain way, right? But if someone were to say, tell us, when you guys are speaking, what would you say this person is? Like, how's the relationship? How's the communication? Do you only communicate when the child is involved? How often do you communicate, right? And what do you talk about? Do you ever talk about anything apart from the child? And why is that? Why is that? I think Sharon said something so important, that once you've loved someone, it's difficult to hate them, right?
Yeah.
And so if you no longer hate them, then if you speak once a month, why is that the case? What's driving that?
So with me, I don't know about others, I had to create boundaries in order for me to heal. You just can't wake up one day and decide to ask me, how's life? You know, are you in a relationship? Those things are going to set you back. You're going to be moving forward, and then this person shows up with all emotions. And when he doesn't want you, then you understand. So the first thing I did with my boundaries was, you're going to email me. Whatever that has to do with your child, you're going to kind regards it. And then when all fire has died down, you are allowed to WhatsApp me and get to the point. Like, hit me up with a summary of, this is what I want for my son, and I will also do that courtesy. Because now when you move into a new relationship, how this person addresses you and the lack of boundaries is going to affect your next relationship.
I like that. I like that.
And I also want to respect whoever he's with, so that that person doesn't feel threatened by my presence.
Right. And then has it changed now, Sharon? Like, maybe now that you've healed, you guys like speak more often now, and now that you've set the boundaries, is it's much more different than it was before, where when he says, how's your day? Now you know that it's just that, there's nothing to it, and you also are not going to be triggered or set back into something that you don't want to. How is it now?
It's amazing. It's really amazing. I now am at a point where whatever message he sends me at any time, obviously not after 5 p.m. or whatever, respectful to my time, but the conversation is always about the child. And that's what I appreciate, that he wants to get involved. And I respect the fact that he is saying, okay, Mama, can I do this? Does boy need this? You know, I'm in a good space in terms of that communication. No boundaries have ever been crossed. And I love the fact that that is the healthiest space for both of us. And also, you can still hit my mom up if there's any other thing you feel like you can address with me.
Okay.
Question to Sharon surrounding that. Do you ever find yourself making major decisions about your son and not involving him, the dad?
It depends what major decisions. When it comes to changing schools and whatever, I'm going to inform him, right? But whatever I deem is good for my child, I will make the decision and I will tell him that I have done it. If he wants to counter argue it or come with a different perspective, I'm open to hearing him. But because I'm the primary caregiver, I'm going to do what I feel is right.
Okay.
So one of the conversations that we had, because he's a closer man, is my son going to go to initiation? That's not a decision I can make alone because it affects a whole clan, a whole family. That is something that we have to decide together. But in terms of after school care, don't those decisions I make as a primary parent, and him not being here, he understands.
Okay, and then sorry about that. Is he, your son, using the dad's surname?
Ooh, this is a live platform. I have to think about my answer. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And although we were not married, I made the decision that if I move on and I marry someone else, I didn't want my child to take my future husband's surname.
Okay.
And it stemmed from the fact that my son was the firstborn son to his dad. And I felt like as a man, he had pride in who he was as a dad. I didn't want to take that away from him. So I told him, just sort out with my mom what is culturally due to her for the son to keep your surname. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I got judged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, sorry.
Oh, to answer Lisa's question, I see that both or all of you were not married. So for me, it was different. You know, when you don't have any, I don't want to say ties, but when you are married to someone, everything that you guys own, it's, you know. So now when you break up with that person, there's another process that you have to go through. So for me personally, the divorce process really, it wasn't easy. And that affected how we co-parent, you know, because there are a lot of decisions that we have to take. And you find that now, as Sharon was saying, you have to set boundaries, you know, to say, no, you are not going to talk to me like that. You're not going to send me, you know, message at this time. So remember, I said I'm still trying to, you know, figure out. There's no formula. We all know that there's no formula. So the divorce process for me really had a huge impact on how we co-parent.
Wow, yeah. Sure, man. I think I've never thought about it like that. Hey, I just always assumed that whether divorce, breakup, excuse me, at the end of the day, you know, it's co-parenting, but I didn't really know that the dynamics are different in terms of going your separate ways. I think with us people who are single, we just, you know, we go our separate ways and then we try to find the middle ground and stuff like that, right? So there's something that Tumelo asked Sharon, right? Like, does she involve the father, so on and so forth? And this is what I want to ask Tumel, and this is just for you, right? And if you ladies have any comments or want to chip in, you can do that. But for you, Tumel, I think because a majority of the time, the women are primary caregivers, right? And so when it comes obviously to decision making on a daily basis, that's what they do. And sometimes it comes across as if we are not including you, but because we make decisions on a daily basis, on the small things, even with the big things, we don't realize that, okay, this needs you, right? Unless perhaps there's some sort of support, and most of the time it's financial support. I just want to ask you, how do you feel when the only time that you are needed in decision making is, hey, I need financial support, or hey, can you do this? Like, how do you feel about that? Because I think I'm guilty of that at some points, right? I will let them know that this is what I want to do, or this is what I've done, and I kind of need help over here financially, right? And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm just like, that's actually not okay. But I've never really had a conversation with him to ask, like, do you want me to involve you in each and every decision or not? And he's also never complained about anything. So just for you, Dumela, how do you feel about that?
I think the reason why I did ask that question is because I faced issues around that, you know, where decisions were made without any consultation or any, you know, like communication. And what frustrates affected me the most is that I would always feel as though like when my daughter is visiting me and the certain decision that I would be making in their absence, I felt like it. I always needed to almost like report. I was under surveillance of some sort because like the child will talk and say, "Oh, this is what I'm doing with dad, one da 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 da," and and then we'll come back and but why this, why that, but like when I think about it, how many events take place where I'm aware of, and some of them might even be conflicting to my worldview, my belief and stuff like and I have to find myself needing to support, every decision that they would be making. And I think that has also been one of the like frustrating points, to be honest, like in the co-parenting thing, because we have two different belief systems, especially like, and I believe that I have my own views on what I think my daughter should be exposed to at this, like in her early stages, which they don't believe in, but there's absolutely nothing to do because I'm not the primary caregiver, unless like custody. But it just becomes nasty when we now want to make it all legal, like I think now have actually, I think, but you guys can correct me if your guys realities are different, like has actually got to a point where they're involving the law just to make sure that co-parenting is working like in the right manner, yeah. So but to answer it, it's frustrating, but there's nothing there's nothing I can do about it. But I'm also learning that I have to my the mother of my daughter in terms of decision making, but like when it comes to big decisions like changing schools and doing this and doing that, I think I'd want more involved there because in terms of assessing what is needed for the child, I think I should be part of that decision making because one brain is better, two brains are better than one, like we can speak about why we feel this decision is best for the daughter and come to a conclusion where it's most favorable for the child and for both of us because the implications of it all are financial at the end of the day.
Yeah. Sharon, go first. I see your mic is on.
Yeah, I wanted to say to Dumelo, a situation like Hlengiwe's is different because they were married, right? They were married, the husband has left, and he's got the right to sit with Uhlengiwe, just the two of them, and make decisions. But in a case, you take someone who's still living with their parents, right? Or the grandparents are also helping to raise this child, they have a bigger say than a person who's outside. And in as much as you are a parent, you need to acknowledge that it's as if the grandparents are also helping to raise where you can't step in. Do you understand? So not only is it to spite you, but I think as baby mamas, we're in a position where we want to please the people that take care of our children when we can't as mothers. Do you understand?
Wait, you just said it's not only to spite.
Yeah, I mean, people think that when we make decisions, it's out of pettiness and I want to hurt you as a dad. But in the same breath, like if you look at my situation, my mom's a pastor. I grew up in a Christian family, and my partner's family believes in something different. And whenever my mom makes a decision, I have to adhere to it because when my child came through, my mom was the only person who had my back raising this child. Do you understand? So now as the baby daddy, and I thank him for what he's done. He said to me, listen, I'm not going to change what you and your mom believe in. However, I'm going to respect and play my part to teach him about what I believe in. But I'm not going to say to him, no, your mom can't make certain decisions because I see what your mom did for our son.
Right.
You understand that dynamic?
Yeah, thank you for touching on that, hey, because I also went through a similar experience, right? I think the belief system for us has never been an issue, but the fact that my son had to live with my parents, and obviously I had to respect what my parents, the decisions that my parents are making because they're living with him, right? And he and I are not living with the child, right? And I thought to myself that he's never complained about that really. He went home and he did the right things, he paid damages and stuff like that. And so whenever he did have to see the child, no one restricted him and stuff like that. And I realized that when it was my turn for the child to go in and visit his father, I kind of have to have the same understanding, because him not complaining is essentially him saying, I trust you and your family to take care of my child, right? And so now when my son goes and visits his dad, I need to give the same amount of energy. Like, you know what? I trust you and your family the way that you've trusted me and my family, right? And should anything go wrong, I'm going to trust you, not as my ex, I'm going to trust you as his father, right? That you are going to make the right decisions, and the same way you are trusting me, even if you don't say that I'm going to make the right decisions for the child, I'm trusting you also that you're going to make the right decisions. And when I need to be involved, you will then involve me, right? So for me, it's always just been that okay, you know what, let's not be selfish. I know that as women we can get a bit but emotional about certain things, but also it's very difficult to get to that mindset. Which brings me to my next question, right? So we've been talking about, the dynamics and the things that we go through. I want to ask you guys, what do you think your co-parents, right? How do they, what is it that they're doing right? What would you say, like, you know what, when I look at my baby daddy, I'm just like, yeah, no, he's very good at this. When I look at my daughter's mother, Tumelo, this is what she does well, and I appreciate her for this. What would you guys say they do really well as parents on their side? Okay, Dumelo, you can go. Still thinking about it.
Yeah, I'm trying to
You're still
think that.
thinking.
Yeah, I think.
Sharon, I also thinking, Sharon. You look like you are deep in thoughts. You muted. You muted.
Alrighty,
Uh,
so I'm quite clear, and I was actually telling my
Okay.
partner, my current partner, that what I appreciate about
Mm,
my baby daddy now is how he financially shows up. And
right.
you can have all these issues when raising a child as a
Mm,
like as the primary caregiver. But the worst thing is to have
mm,
financial constraints that hore no one else can pull through for me except this guy.
yes.
Like if I call him about his son, he's not going to ask me for a 10-page justification as to why this needs to
Right.
happen. He'll just say to me, I
Mm,
can do it. And I go, so on this date, I will do it. And he shows up. And that for me, I give him
yeah.
like for 9 years solid, he's been consistent.
Wow. 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 That's lovely. That's lovely, Tumelo.
mm, mm. No, I
Okay,
think
you know what,
I
for
think let's
me,
give it to Sharon. I mean, I'm not. I can't even. I think I can go first.
just just keep thinking, right? So on my bit, the financial expectation has always been there, right? So for me, I just wouldn't really say that, I give you props, you never defaulted. No, he's supposed to do that, right? But what I do give him, look, when I found out that I was pregnant, I think I was more stressed out about being pregnant than stressed out about the father not being there, right? He showed time and time again that he's actually a good father, because he does have an older son, right? And so I watched him with his oldest son, and then what I saw with his oldest son is exactly what he is with our son, right? Like, he's absolutely incredible. Yeah. So whether he and I are in good terms or we are not in good terms, you know what, he's a good father. And what I mean by that is, man, he plays with him, he talks to him, he entertains all his thoughts, he disciplines him when he needs to be disciplined. I remember this other time when he was starting grade R, and obviously he needed to learn how to write. And I told his father, I was like, look, they are on this hybrid thing at school, and I don't think I'll be able to handle that. So, and then he's like, no, bring him to me. So sent him to his dad's, and then I told him, hey, this is what they're doing in school currently, and they need us to help us with this. Can you help him out? And he was able to help him out with, well, let me not say help him out, but he was responsible enough to help him to learn how to write. So when my son came back, that was off my shoulders now. I didn't have to teach him, okay, this is how you hold a pen, this is what you do, da, da, da. And so as a father, he's absolutely incredible. Financially, guys, listen, we are all responsible for our kids financially. I can't give him props for that. He's supposed to do that, right?
Mhm.
But the other bits, I think he goes above and beyond that I really don't expect. Like, he's doing incredibly well. Right. So maybe Dumel, if you can think about it like that's like when you look at your daughter, right? The character traits that she has, the way that she thinks, you have to attribute that to something or to someone, right? Is it the grandmother? Is it the mother? Like, what is it? So I'm not asking in terms of finances and does she drop the kid off at school on time? Does she pick? No. Just whatever you think that she is doing right. Okay, because when the child is alive, there's something that she must be doing right.
Yeah, I think maybe not to get into too much of the detail, but I
Right.
think the past few years, maybe I'd say the mother of my daughter had 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 some issues that she had to deal with and stuff like that. So I think it's been very hard. Well, I think it was an oversight on my side to sort of like
Yeah.
identify, like certain things that I could say, like, oh, she's doing great and stuff like that. But the thing is, my daughter's got a very strong personality. And I asked
Right.
myself, where does she
Right.
get that from? So I'm going to assume that it's from her mother, because
Okay.
I mean, she spends a lot more time with her, because I don't think I've got my personality is like as, like out there as she's is. But I'm seeing it in my daughter. I could also just be, you know, fooling myself, and she's probably just like me. Because when I asked my mom about like certain behavior traits that I'm seeing in my daughter and asking her to say, was I ever like that as a kid, in your according to your memory?
Right.
Nothing sort of like there's nothing that correlates like between
Yeah.
me as a child and my daughter as a child. But I love the fact that she's as confident as she is, because
Yes.
confidence is one thing that I actually struggled with growing up, right? And I don't want her to lose that confidence in herself and self-belief. And, I think quite often a lot of things don't get done simply because of the lack of confidence. So, but if a person's got confidence, so I think maybe that's what I appreciate then with the mother of my daughter, that she has instilled confidence in my daughter to know that she's deserving. She is who she is, and she has to show up all the time, of which she does. I think also her involvement in helping her out with school, because I remember first term, second term, my daughter was not doing so great, and then once we had a sit down, to figure out how we're gonna actually help my daughter out with this, I started seeing an improvement in my daughter's academic life, even though she's in grade one, but like the involvement did make a big difference. So I think her patience towards my daughter and actually being as involved when it comes to her education, I think that to me is what I could say she's doing quite well.
Yeah. And I'm asking this question, right? Because to some extent there is something good that they're doing, right? So whether they see the child once a month, twice a month, but I know with my son, whenever he comes from his dad, so his dad is Tswana and I'm Zulu. So whenever he comes back from his dad, it's Ndate. I'm like, hey, my guy, we heard it about your father. We also have fathers. Can you hush? Thank you very much, And that also it gives a testament that he's actually doing well when he is with his child, right? So anyway, before your phone overheated, I'm experiencing the same issues here. Right. So I was just asking, what do you think your children's father is doing well, right? In spite of, the differences that you guys have with each other, when you look at how he parents, like what is it that you were like, okay, when it comes to this, he's very, very good at it.
Um, for me, I'd say he's very, very hands-on.
And
As I said, I used to joke with him when we were together that I think you love your children more than me because I mean it
right.
doesn't
Yeah.
I came first, so he loves them. As I said earlier, he will do anything for them. So he is a
Right.
great dad. He does
Yeah.
everything in power just to make sure that
Mm.
the children are comfortable. So
Right.
comes to parenting, I cannot fault him. I would be
Right.
lying, not fault,
Yeah.
But there are those things. We are human. We are bound
Mm.
to make mistakes and this and that. But I
Mm.
think with this journey I am on, I I
Mm.
I, I just told myself that I just need to be grateful. There are a lot of good
Right.
things happening instead of focusing on the negative
Mm.
all the time because it feels like
Mm.
focusing on the negatives that the person is doing, it seems
Mm.
like more and more negative things tend to, happen. So when you focus on
Mm.
the positive things,
Mm.
positive time, it helps you, it helps you. Even the way when you speak to your children about him, you know, you, you,
Yes. Yes.
I always try to be positive. It took me time,
Mm-hmm.
yes, but I always try
Mm-hmm.
by all because at the end of the day, we want to raise happy children. That
Mm.
is what
Mm.
we do. And
Mm.
the children don't know what happened. We shouldn't involve
Right.
them
Yeah.
in ever. So he is
Mm.
he is a good dad. I cannot fault him when it comes to his children.
Mm. 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 So you said something really important there. And I suppose this is my next question, right? That do you ever talk to your children about their parent? Right. So Sharon, I'm not sure if your son's father is still in the Eastern Cape and the distance is still there, but do you ever talk to your son about his dad? And does he ever talk to you about his dad? And then how's that interaction? How's that interaction?
Alrighty. So we do have conversations about his dad, and I
Mm.
literally paint him as one of the best human beings in the world.
Right. That's
That's
beautiful.
because my parents co-parented. Even now, they're still co-parenting, and I'm 30. And it's such a beautiful
Yes.
relationship that they have. My mom never told me about
Mm.
my dad's fault. Only now that I'm older, I get to hear
Yes.
his shortcomings. So I try to
Mm.
do that for my
Mm.
son. What
Mm.
happened and all of that are things that he will learn when he's older, and he'll make his own judgment. Called my dad, you're not a good man. But for now,
Mm.
dad is a hero. And something that I
I
mentioned
love
later,
it. I love
when
it.
I
Yeah.
spoke about financial reliability, some men
Yes.
don't show up for their children financially, or they give the bare minimum,
Yes.
right? They will give you
Right. Right. Right.
2,000
Right.
rand and say, this is what I have
Yes.
to give you. But one thing that I'm giving
Yes.
this man props for is the better quality of
Mm.
life, better education, better health,
Right.
better
Love it.
listen. This is
Love it.
priority
Yes.
because that child will not have a
Yes.
childhood where they have to recover from.
Yes. Oh, okay. Okay. So when you say financial, you're not saying that, okay, he's doing what he can per month because this is what I need to do in order for you not to come at me legally. He's just like, I'm here and I'm gonna show up. If the legal says 5 rand, I'm gonna give you 15 rand, 20 rand. Oh, I love that. I
Precisely.
love
And there
it.
was a time where I
Okay, okay.
went to
So he's
him. Yeah, so I
okay.
went
So
to
so
him and
so
I was
he's
like,
he's like a distant proper provider, not a I'm gonna provide because I have to. Love
correct.
that.
And I think because of the
Okay.
distance, he will always ask me, Mama, what can we do better for him?
Wow.
And
Yes,
I'm
yes,
always saying,
yes,
okay,
yes.
these are my limitations. I know what I can do financially, but these are my limitations.
Mm,
And we'll make sure
mm,
that our son gets what he needs. And that for me, I
mm.
props, props.
Wow, wow, wow. And do you ever tell him that? Because look, and I'm saying this now, and this is a question for everyone, right? It's a question. I think sometimes I don't know what it is about just being human, right? Especially when you are no longer relating with a person the way that you used to relate to. And you can see that, no, man, this person is doing great. Instead of telling them, you tell your girlfriends, like, yo, Babaga Ianda is coming through, But do you ever tell, like, give them compliments, like, I noticed this and this and this about the child. Well done. I'm really happy. Like, do you guys tell them?
Yeah, I do. I do.
Okay.
I think because I don't want her to ever feel as though like I don't recognize her efforts, right? Because if something was lacking and it starts to pick up, we need to um I need to give props where props is due.
Mm,
Um
mm,
and if she had a hand in it, I think just to show that I'm appreciative of that, the role that she has played. I think it's only fair so that she doesn't only think that I only look at negative things because you don't want to be a negative Nancy, as well, and just
yeah.
all you see is
Yeah.
is red, like all the time.
Mm,
So I think
mm,
it's and it also inspires a better relationship between you and the parents,
yeah.
just to say we can call each other out on our shortcomings and actually give
Right.
props. So like, because I think if you're only looking at the negative stuff, you just become bitter, man. Like you're always trying to
Yes.
find fault, always trying to find fault. I think at some point when we were facing some turbulence in our relationship, co-parenting relationship, that's what was the main theme, that we're just looking at each other's negatives, and that's all we were
Okay.
talking about, constantly
Yeah.
fighting. But I think when we started realizing and maturing a lot more into our roles as parents, we just
Mm,
we just saw it as futile, man. And I think it's low level thinking if you're always constantly just talking about negatives, like
right.
this,
Yeah. I
it's
agree. I
more of a
agree.
you thing. It becomes more of a you thing.
Yes.
Maybe you are feeling inferior, you are feeling
Mm,
um yeah, so, like it's a you problem more than anything. And I
mm,
think um after overcoming that, the battle that we were facing at the time, the co-parenting relationship just becomes much more smoother, I guess, for lack of a better word.
mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Sharon, do you guys ever say, hey, well done, dad. Happy dad. Good for you. Do you guys ever do that?
All right.
Oh, yay,
With me,
X.
so with me, a quick one. I think I had kept our relationship very strict. We just talk about important stuff and all of that. But in recent
Mm,
years, my current partner has given me such a perspective on how men think and how men feel.
yes.
And he's made me be very fragile and understanding. And I did say to my baby daddy, you have to thank your son's stepfather because he has built
Right.
quite a respectful and mutually respectful and appreciative relationship between the two of us, because I used to be on some, you can't clap for a fish for swimming. I mean, the standard, he needs to participate. But whenever
Yes.
my partner
Yes.
says, look, as a man, for you to do 1, 2, 3, 4, it comes from the depth of your heart. So if it's not appreciated,
Yes.
a person just stops doing it. So
I
I've
see.
extended once in a while to say just thank you, I appreciate it.
Okay. Okay, Chinyu.
As Sharon has said, I've also kept it very, straight to the point. I don't think we are there yet, but gradually I think we will, as I said, because of,
Yeah.
the so many reasons and some things I can't
Yes.
mention on a public platform like
Yes.
this.
Yeah,
But
okay.
it's something I will do. I will do. It's not that I don't
Yeah.
see things that he's doing but I mean you guys, this platform, I will work on it. I will work on it.
You work on it. You work on it. Okay. Dumela, is what Sharon said true? So she said that her current partner made her understand how men think, right? And so when they don't get appreciated, then they stop doing it. Is that true? Like, do you experience that when maybe you go above and beyond what you expected to do? If you don't get a thank you, just like, you know what, I'll just stick to my bare minimum.
Um, hmm. I don't think I've ever been like very like on the bare minimum side when it comes to my daughter, you know.
Okay.
And I can say that with my chest because I genuinely
Love
believe
it.
that
Yeah.
I've really like been showing up for my daughter like at all times. I think in as far as it goes, you know, I also want the best for her, you know, as much as as far as we can take it. I'd like to know that she receives the best. In terms of not getting props for, you know,
Yeah.
for doing the most. I think they've always shown appreciation, you know, like yeah, there's never been a time where they'd be like, you know, like overlook or and not recognize or something like that, you know. But also I've tried to teach myself to not expect that. Because at the end of the day,
Okay.
I'm doing it because I believe that this will help her, or this is what she deserves, you know, as my daughter. I do it from my um from my perspective. Like it's just me. I feel like she deserves it, she needs it, and I'm gonna
Right.
do it. You know, it's
Yeah.
never a thing of I'm looking for props, you know. I think in the beginning, because I was also still trying to navigate being a
Yeah.
parent and being a dad and stuff like that. I probably was seeking that approval and that props, but I think
Okay.
it got to a point
Yeah.
where it just became a thing of um, this is my child and I need to do what I believe she deserves, and yeah, but they do show like appreciation. I think that's one thing that I don't think they've ever not done, you know. If it wasn't coming from mother, it would be coming from the grandparents, you know, something like
Oh, I
that.
love it. Love
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so guys, we're out of time. Can I ask that we take about 10 to 15 minutes? I just have a few questions that I really need to ask you guys. Yeah, I'm just having so much fun at the same time. So, Sharon mentioned that she has a partner now, right? And I want to know if you've been in a position where you now have a partner, how did you work around that? How did your son's father, your daughter's mother, you know, or your children's father, how did they react to that? Were they okay with it? And how did you navigate you having a child and having to date someone that isn't the parent of the child? How do you navigate through dating as a whole, knowing that there's someone else that is responsible for this child that you have and they have to be in your life, or your ex rather? Klingy, what do you want to start? Are you there yet?
Um, for me, I think my partner, he has children also, so it's something that just happened. You know, it wasn't planned. So and with me going and going, I found out that my baby daddy also has moved on. So
Right.
it wasn't something that we sat and spoke about to say, okay, now we are here, and then this is what something that we don't speak about. But I've learned a whole lot from my partner. You know, he's an amazing dad. You know, so a lot of things. I mean, yeah, I've learned a lot from him. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Sharon?
I would agree with Utlengiwe because of the boundaries that we had set initially. I think it made move on. But then it came a point where I felt like I need to let my baby daddy know that there's a father figure in your child's life so that you do not question when Umtana says, oh, mommy, we took me mang mang. Do you understand? It should be a
Okay. Okay.
I want you to be comfortable and clear. Like, here's a short profile of who the guy is so that you are comfortable with that person instilling certain values in your child. right?
Mm.
On his side, he hasn't felt the need to tell me, but he's told me that he does have 2 kids, sent me pictures and says, okay, whenever your son is with me, he's with his siblings, type of thing. So
Okay, I
I'm
love it.
good.
Yes.
I'm good. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Dumelo, what about you?
I think on my side, it was we've always had a very cordial relationship with respect to that. Né? The one thing that did become a frustrating point though, is so we had initially discussed that like if we are going to be in a relationship
Mm.
and you are planning on introducing our daughter to this guy, just give me
Mm.
a heads up, so that I understand that
Mm.
there's now another man in her life who could be playing
Mm.
the role of a father. Because I
Mm.
think just out of courtesy, I don't want to feel like my role is being undermined as the dad as well. And I
Oh, that's very
think,
important, eh?
yeah,
I love what you just said, yes.
yeah. So I think from my perspective, just as courtesy, just for her to say, hey, um,
Mm.
I'll be spending a lot more time with my partner and our daughter in the same
Mm.
stuff.
Mm.
This is who my partner is, and stuff like that. I would have
Mm.
appreciated that courtesy, but
Mm.
it didn't happen that way. And I think we did it did lead to sort of like a clash between us, because it's something
Okay.
that we have spoken about before, that I would
Mm.
appreciate if that happens, because I think with her as well, I think she would like to know who my daughter is spending time with, if there's a
Okay.
female figure and involved, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
of which it got to a point where I also ngangala nam, accept,
Mm.
why should I tell her if she's not willing to tell me? But I think
Mm.
it's very important that we understand that who are we exposing our daughters to? I mean, our children to,
Mm. Yeah.
outside of us being parents. So,
Yeah. I love that. Hey, I love the I don't want my role as a father to be undermined. I really, really love that. And that is probably something that I will keep in mind when I do get into the dating scene again. But my rule has always been, if you haven't met my father, you're not going to meet my son, because I don't know where this is going, right? Because what if you create this relationship with my son and then we break up? So when you break up, you're not only breaking up with me, you're gonna break up with my son. And I don't think he'll be able to handle that kind of heartbreak, right? And so if you're not gonna if you haven't met my dad, you can't meet my son, right? And so he's always asking me, are you gonna get married? Do you want to get married? I'm like, mind your business. Mind your business. Okay, let's talk about
mhm.
the unseen, unspoken, and unknown disadvantages of co-parenting. All right. So what would you guys say are the unseen and unknown disadvantages of co-parenting? I know, I mean, we can have simulated ideas and say, when I look at these two, I think this is these are the disadvantages. But from your experience, what are the disadvantages, and would you recommend co-parenting?
Well, by that question, you mean if not co-parenting, what? Not what's the alternative? Isn't like,
Just make it work.
okay,
Make it work, yeah.
all right.
No, my brother, yeah, go ahead. Your mic is on, my brother.
um, I personally do not recommend co-parenting.
Mhm.
I think to Sharon's point in the beginning, she said something about babies should be planned, like they should
Yes.
it should we should be planning kids, guys, and
Mm.
I feel very strong about that. That was one of
Mm.
the biggest frustrating points between myself and my baby, the mother of my daughter, that
Yes.
we I felt like you know, we were supposed to like plan, you know, like plan, and say this you really, really want to do, and we're
Yeah.
both comfortable with this, you know. Because the thing is,
Yes.
we've joked around with the idea of having kids and stuff like that back then when we were still in a relationship. But I don't think if your relationship is dying out, you should try and save it by creating a child, you know. And I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm not saying that's what happened, but be in agreement, you know, to say, I'd like to have a child. How do you feel about it? Let's do this or not, you know, because yeah, man, you, it's not an abrupt thing, man, you know, like this is an entire life, you know, like we can't take that for granted as well. Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay. All right, Slingy, what about you? Sharon, your mic is on. Go for it.
No, thank you. It can go. It's okay.
Okay, Slingy.
For me, I think without talking about the negatives and all that, I just want to talk about what this, co-parenting has taught me. You know, Dumela said, you know, you should plan having children, you know, but it just happens. Things sometimes you don't plan. So it has taught me to be selfless, you know. In all the decisions, it's never about me, you know, and it shouldn't be about me, you know. And indlela thina esikhule ngayo, we grew up with grandparents. So sometimes you have to share, you have to also cope with grandparents. So when you are only thinking about yourself, you can't. So you have to learn to be flexible, to compromise. You know, it's not about you. You know, this thought is always on my mind almost every day. When you have children, it's a lifelong thing. You can't take a break.
Yes.
You can't. You just have to be there. And there are decisions made all the time. So you have to be selfless. You have to be selfless.
Yes.
About you all the time.
Okay. All right, Sharon.
Alrighty. So my view is relationships end, whether it's marriage, whether it's Mjolo, eventually things are going to end and you're going to co-parent. But what I'm learning now is vetting the person that you're with, really getting to know them, who they are when they're angry, who they are in difficult situations, because that is going to be what you stick with for life. And one other thing I've learned is that a bad partner is going to be a bad parent. There's no other way around it. If this person doesn't have those characteristics of a good man, he's not going to be a good father. So if ever I were to have the second baby, it would be planned. Financially, I'll have a plan. Emotionally, I will be stable and ready for either way. But most importantly, the person that I'm going to co-parent with needs to be someone that will make my life very easy. And I think when you're dating, when you see red flags, you just ignore them. But unfortunately, those red flags are going to pop up again in co-parenting, and you can't do anything at that point. And from my parents, I'm learning that co-parenting doesn't end at 18. People will say, yeah, when a child is 18, things are... No, I'm 30. My parents still need to talk and sit down and agree on certain things that have to do with me. And I'm realizing this is a life. They're literally going to take this to the grave. And that's what I need to prepare myself for.
Right. I love that. I love that perspective. Really, really love it. You know, the disadvantages that and I'm going to speak for me and my son's father, right, is during holidays, he either visits his father or he visits me. So he's with my dad right now, right? And if I call dibs, then his father loses out, right? If he calls dibs, I lose out. So don't do it. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Just going back to Sharon's point, guys, plan it out. And then, yes, things do happen, but at least you would have known that. I mean, you must also watch this live so that you know, if you want to co-parent or not. But I just wouldn't recommend it, really. I really would. I just would not recommend it. Okay. So one last question. How would you guys describe perfect co-parenting? Like, if you were to say, Azin, if we can do it like this and like that, and she or he comes through like this and like that, and then da 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 da, what would that look like for you? When you say, like, if you're sitting with your boys, Dumelo or Sharon and Hlenyo, you guys are sitting with your girls and you're just like, yo, baby daddy's doing the things, I'm just stress-free when it comes to the child. Even when talking to him, it's like it's an easy thing. How would you guys describe that? I don't have it to be honest, but I'll tell you guys a story at the end of this other couple that did it perfectly for them. Okay, so Dumelo, you can start. Yeah. Okay, while you're thinking, Sharon, you want to go?
Let me think.
I would say selflessness, right? And selflessness and planning. We can't say
Yes.
we've done it wrong for 9 years. It ends here. I would
Yes.
ideally love a situation where we sit down and we plan. Where do we
Yes.
want to take this boy in the next 10 to 15 years? How are you going to help me get him there? And what is my role in getting him there? Instead of just winging
Love
it.
that.
Holidays, he's mine.
Yes.
And then as we go, there's no plan. We're just going as it
Yes.
comes, But it would be
Yes.
ideal if we were to ever agree on what the future looks like for my son and how each of us can equally contribute to that vision.
I love that. I love that. Okay, Klingiwe.
I think I would agree with what Sharon has said. Having a plan and being selfless, that's
Being selfless. Okay.
out.
Dumelo, are you still thinking there?
Right,
Your
can you hear me?
camera's off, Dumelo.
Sorry.
Okay. Are you still thinking? Yep.
Yeah, no. Like to the point of the ladies, yeah, having a plan, definitely. I think the biggest, as much as we wanna make it seem like it's not about that, like financial like ability, like having the ability to just be able to stand on your own 2 feet and just be able to finance your child's life. Like that's probably one of the biggest frustrations. And I know people like to say and paint out things like and say, no, just be present, just be present. Yes, that goes a long way, but even to go see the child, you'll need money, like just to get there, as being present. And if you're constantly frustrated about not having, I think, especially in this day and time, it just would make the parenting in and of itself quite difficult, because I'm noticing this with my dad right now. So my mom and dad, like they separated long ago. But my dad is unable to show up financially, right? And I could see that that has been his biggest frustration, I think over the years, that like he's unable to do for his kids. And how then does he how does he I'm struggling with the words, but how does he basically show that he has showed up for his kids if he's unable to do for his kids,
Okay.
like
Yes.
and I think that has made it hard for him to sort of like realize where does he fit into our lives, because I think he's always felt a bit like he's not doing enough or whatever, right? But I think that now that we are grown up, né, and we are able to take care of our own selves, right? We are sort of trying to navigate a much more like a friendship, we're trying to get into like a friendship space, it's no longer your parent, I'm the child. It's more like you gave birth to me, but you're unable to do that, like raise me. You
Yes.
give birth, but you're
Yes.
unable to raise me.
Mm.
That's water under the bridge now. Now we are getting to a space where we like, I recognize you as my dad, and you're my friend now. You're not just my dad, but like you're becoming my friend. Anything.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here's the story, right? So there was these two, husband and wife, they divorced and then they moved on. So they had kids, right? And then they decided, you know what, me coming there and driving like maybe an hour to come and fetch the kids and stuff like that was not working for us. So they decided to buy a house the dad decided to buy a house in the same neighborhood as the ex-wife and the kids, right? And then what happened was both of them moved on and their partners were living in the same neighborhood. So when the kids wanted to go and see dad, they would literally walk maybe 2 blocks or a block to get to them and vice versa. And so holidays and everything, 4 parents, all the kids in one room, that's what worked for them. I don't think that can work in the Black community. But anyway, that's just my opinion. Okay, guys, thank you so much for being part of this conversation. This was absolutely lovely. Thank you for your insights. Thank you to our panelists, guys. You've been so amazing. Like, I learned so much. Learned so much. So thank you again for being a part of this. We're going to wrap it up now. Thank you to everyone who's watching right now. Thank you for being a part of this lovely conversation. Please join us next month where we are going to be discussing intimacy, how both genders view intimacy. So there's going to be a new host, new panel. Join us next week. Cheers, guys. Bye.
Remember the days we were young, wild and free, basic getting sprung. We used to dance the night away, hang out the whole next day.